Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and we'll be here playing some Total War Arena. I've been playing a lot of this game. I know it's free to play, but I've been loving it, grinding it out, having actually a really good time handling different units, the commanders, the abilities. Now that I'm about tier 4, tier 5 on most of my commanders, I start to get access to some pretty dope units. So this is a map that's quite interesting. It basically has this big river through the center where you have a lot of these open sight lines, and then behind that on both sides a lot of these kind of fortified hilltop positions with watchtowers, etc. And what it kind of lends itself to is going to be a bit of camping on both ends. So I have had issues in the past where there's basically this artillery entrenchment emplacements, all kinds of positions backed up by archers and kind of just lobbing bombs at one another. So that's what's going to be happening in this match, but it does go on for quite some time. And yeah, I think it's a match worth sharing. So the units that I've brought, I have Arminius. So he has a bunch of different abilities here. I'm trying to get up to tier 5, which will allow me to mask myself. But for the time being, I can do Rapid Advance. I can do the one that lets me do like a Frenzy, so more attack. And then with these horses that I have, these brigands, I believe, I can charge. And I can actually engage this hoof ability, which knocks the enemy flat. So it's pretty good anti-infantry. But yeah, our army composition is going to be rather mixed. You can see we have a fair amount of artillery. Actually, one more than the opponents. We have a decent amount of archers. Pretty good mix throughout, but I'm the only cavalry force. And it looks like on the other side they have 2 cavalry forces, so I have to be a little bit wary about this. Early on, there's going to be engagement here by the reeds, I would suppose. And this is where both sides, you know, anyone who gets exposed early on this map is going to start to get pummeled. And that's essentially what you're going to have happening here. Look at these 2 positions triangulating our forward assault. And you'll notice, you know, look how many men are circling about overhead. If I go back and put this on team 1, I mean, they're moving up into the blind. So expect every time you deploy here and push up to meet a lot of opposition. So archers are going to be rolling deep, getting fired upon by enemy archers. Spears are moving up unsupported. And what's popping out of the woods is going to be a ton of cavalry. They're all going to be launching into this juicy archer formation, knowing that they can get some free kills. So things are looking good for us. We're already down about 100 points, and we're quickly here going to lose 2 entire commanders worth of units. I don't know where he was running, perhaps towards the enemy artillery positions, but yeah, going to get completely obliterated there. Meanwhile, I try and sneak around the right flank, and I get nailed by the artillery. So those things have such good cover. I was expecting, you know, with everyone sinking into the center, I'd be able to sneak around the side. Because let me go ahead and show you this. With the fog of war off, there's really no one over here, and I was expecting to be able to sneak, lurk in the back, and wait for an opportunity to strike. But the enemy artillery was watching me, and so they're able to rebuff my assault and do pretty fair amounts of damage. You know what I'm doing is I notice that there's some penetration on the left flank, so I'm going to pull back. That's one of the things I love about Total War Arena, is that in a traditional Total War title, once you're committed to the fight, you're committed to the fight. But in this one, I can sweep across the entire map, fall back, and look for better opportunities. So for instance here, you'll notice that we are going to be trying to button up and defend this artillery position. And the cavalry really wants to come and strike this. It does spot it for the artillery to now start hammering it. But now I notice that, hey, they've you know, not been able to punch through that. And so it's going to be up to me to come in and perhaps try and punish these cavalry. So I'm going to try and bait them into the open here with one of my raiders, and anticipate that I can maybe land a hammer strike on the flank there. But the enemy is not really going to fall for it. I guess they're a little uncertain of where to go. And I spot perhaps a juicier opportunity, which is going to be to isolate some of these javelins, who could otherwise probably take out these guys if they kite them. So yeah, I'm just keeping these guys occupied, delaying them, pulling them back and forth, hedging my bets with another unit in the rear. But one of them I'm definitely going to commit to the side, because look at these 2 javelin men. Would like to retreat, and this is going to be my opportunity to strike. Sensing that cavalry is behind, I'm going to pull through right behind the shield of this Cherushi warband. So that was excellent 1-2 punch from my ally. He's going to be shielding me, and I'm protecting him by doing a little bit of this cleaning up operations. And the cav is forced to retreat. So despite us losing a lot in the early game, those 2 armies here, we're starting to claw it back. The enemy has kind of overestimated their ability to do damage to us here, and they've sent a lot of vanguard units forward, kind of haphazardly with minimal support. Now they are going to cleave through the artillery positions and really shut this down. But if they don't rout these entirely, you can have the crew actually repair the artillery and redeploy. So it's not that big of a loss, and it will suck the cavalry into a position where we can then kind of wipe another cavalry unit off the board, and we'll be good to go. You know, we're continuing to clean up on this side. I have all of my cavalry now shifted on this flank. Gonna perhaps help support the archers and push, but I know that, you know, there's some artillery, and I had seen archer volleys getting off of here, so I know I can't really punch through here. It's a bit of a choke point, really hazardous for my units if I get too close. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of lurk, help with the cleanup, and then redeploy. So always keep yourself on like a swivel here. So I noticed, okay, we want to keep this rear artillery position covered, so I'm going to try and swivel back, give it some defense, and I notice, hey, we're getting harassed over here. We have some archers who are trying to rebuff, but enemy cavalry is really swarming our ranks, and they have some of these probably Theban cavalry here, swarming around, looking to do a push on cap, maybe even get after artillery. There's also a vulnerable position here, so I noticed that with all those factors up in the air, I need to double time and get back to the main action to mount a defense and maybe even suppress these guys outright and kill them, but at the very least offer some protection to our guys. I'm going to try and move in to support this, and I might even have the juicy opportunity to strike at these archers as well. We'll see how things turn out. But it is very much a game of calculations. That's the thing that I keep saying I like about Arena. You have to time your moves, be very careful about your engagements, and not be afraid to retreat. So for instance here, look at all these archers. I could very well just commit full-hearted into this. But if I were to do this, I notice that there's just enough archers that they could kite me, fire at me, they have support, and there's no real need for me to pressure this. The archers here aren't doing any damage. Our units has been finished off, so I'm not really coming to anyone's rescue. So I might as well just sit back, allow the artillery to do its damage, and allow the infantry to clear this flank up, and then push and occupy the archers. So I'm going to wait to make my move. Meanwhile, over here I'm setting a bit of a trap for the shock cav. I bait out a charge, waste that, pull out of the side, and now I'm going to get a pretty hefty strike onto this unit. The shock cav here, the Theban cavalry, are really good on the charge, but in sustained melee, if you can bait out a charge and hit them after that, they're not going to stand up at all to barbarian cav, which is super powerful, I find. It's one of the reasons I kind of prefer them to the shock cav, is these barbarian cav can still do a pretty good charge on the enemy, but their sustain is just freaking phenomenal. So I'm going to clean up easily 2 whole forces here. The 3rd Cavalry Force, unfortunately, has gotten away from my my grasp. It's going after and destroying the archers. I would like to commit one of my healthy cavalry forces to get that way. I'm tied up at the time being on this Theban force, and I'm going to have to split my attention. So one of them is going to be sent this way to try and help out, but it is a bit of a lost cause here with the infantry nearby, so luckily we do have reinforcements. That's what I'm going to be doing. Also over here, I'm going to send in some of my cavalry to hit these archers who are otherwise distracted. And we're going to start to smack these guys around. So you can see we're still really low in the army count, down to 236 all the way against 330. So down by 100 still, but we're starting to get the enemy whittled down to key points here. The archers here are going to be gobbled up. You'll see this going very soon in our direction. Over here I've also landed a strike on the cavalry, really bringing down their numbers. And then I'm going to disengage just as our allies get into the mix so I don't take too much damage. So I always do what you're there to do and then disengage and don't take unnecessary losses. So that's over there. Over here, I've been able to come in and suppress a lot of these archer units. So keep an eye on the board here. You know, they may have a fair amount of numbers, but a lot of that is still invested in archer units. So in artillery units. So there we go. We clean up all the archers in the center, and that really frees us up. So now I'm going to be looking to make the push over on this undefended right flank, where I was initially hoping to do that. Wasn't quite sure what was defending this. You'll find that artillery pieces almost always have some sort of defense, so it looks like they have that. Ooh, buddy. Okay, looks like he gave an attack order here. You got to be careful with the stakes. If you run through these, they'll kill you. But anyways, if I toggle back onto Team 1, you know, I have no real sense of what's up here, how many units are there. The spears could all be there. So I'm going to circle around and maybe look for a, you know, at least get a little bit of vision and then engage. Meanwhile, on the back over here, I'm continuing to circle, and I'm cleaning up the remainder of this cav that was trying to get away, trying to do some hammer and anvils. Now, there is another force here, 3 spears, so it looks like that was this cluster here from Fire of the Gods. Yep. And they had actually gone over here and completely destroyed our artillery. I could have tried to save them, but it's a little hard with cavalry against 3 hoplite forces. Once they pop that phalanx, it's going to be really hard to break. So what I'm going to be left doing is to just try and help these barbarians secure this side. Meanwhile, over here, I have spotted the opportunity that I was looking for. So cavalry do come in here. Notice that the defense is far away. Looks like the infantry have been pulled out of position. And now I'm going to get a clean strike on these totally undefended units. So that's why it's always best with cav. You know, early game, if there's a lot of archers and artillery, just bide your time in the rear lines and just play babysitter on your forces. Punish anyone who gets too exposed. And don't suicidally charge. Just do your work in the back lines. And then late game, this is where you pounce, where you'll find a lot of value cleaning up undefended units like this. You'll find a lot more opportunities. So that's kind of been my recipe for success. You can see me here. I'm going to be popping up on the leaderboard quite soon for eliminations on those units. So I'm trying to do that. Meanwhile, they still have an artillery force, yeah, over here, bombarding our position. So I definitely want to get out of here real soon. But they're being rather tenacious. And it looks like my allies are going to go and suppress that finally. But I'm taking lots of damage there. And boom, there you go. Okay, so I've eliminated him, and immediately I'm going to book you on out of here. Get into rear of this position. Wasn't quite sure if there's anything else, more archers or artillery. Looks like on the leaderboard, that's it. These two units, and then the rest on our side. So this is where we're going to have a bit of a race. The enemy was capturing our base. And so they are doing a countdown, and we're soon going to be doing a countdown. Looks like numbers finally favor us, but it's pretty slim. We don't have all of our forces in the base just yet. So if these guys can button up in phalanx formation, they may be able to cap this before us. So this is going to be where you're going to see a little bit of micro-level tactics here, where you're really looking to exploit the rear of the enemy. So here, for instance, I bait a charge into the phalanx. Force them to go into hoplite phalanx and face this way, allowing my barbarian ally to get into the bank and clean up one of these forces here. So slowly we're going to be eating into these guys. I'm forced to feed a couple units here and there just to convince them not to turn around. And now finally it looks like they're going to be doing just that. And this is where I'm going to pop my charge. Boom, right into them. So slowly but surely we're going to be eating our way through these forces. But as this charge gets in here, it does a lot of damage to my cavalry. I'm going to pull out. And in this race to the finish, it's not about eliminating these guys. It's just enough to knock down their cap a couple pegs every once in a while. So we did just that, got a couple kills, and now we're going to be waiting. And that gave us a slight edge in terms of the decap. Looks like that's about it. You know, it's going to be our units in the base, and we have a slight advantage. So we should go about winning this. Nothing really that can contest us there, but we didn't know that on our side. Could have been maybe something else. No, actually, we should have known that looking at the board. But anyways, there's still some glory to be had in terms of cleaning up this position. So me and my barbarian ally are going to be working the angles on this little pike box here, nestled up against the barbarian hut. And we're constantly jockeying around, looking for the flank. Barbarian doing the same thing. You know, there's only so many angles that they can cover themselves. He's going to hit them in the rear. Myself knowing that this has to turn about. There you go. Here comes the turn, and here comes the cavalry charge. So right into there. And there you go. You saw them kick down these infantry, so that's an ability that the cavalry can have. Looks like I have the wrong unit selected for some reason. It's showing me another player. But anyways, these guys have like a trod under hoof mechanic, where you can pop that and it'll kick the enemy to the ground, does a lot of damage. This charge as well, getting it off, and just as the enemy's going to be standing up, you'll see me pop that here soon. So despite me going up against two hoplites, I'm still going to do a fair amount of damage here. It's going to be pretty awesome. So that's why I love these teched up cav. You can do some pretty fancy stuff with them. And here I am going to be finishing off some of the units from Fire of the Gods. And there you have it. So we're not even going to get to the capture point. Myself and my ally here are going to be seizing the day with an annihilation victory. And boom, there you go. We go ahead and clean that one up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this this quick fight. It did show you a little bit of the back and forth, how we were down pretty significantly in the beginning, but just by playing patiently, punishing the enemy's advances, you saw us do a lot of damage there. So yeah, just be careful with the cavalry. If you find yourself in a position of, you know, fighting against an entrenched enemy, just bide your time, protect your side, eke back the victories through there, and then late game, that's where you go for the decisive kills. But don't get over eager. So anyways, that's it for this Teutoburger Forest replay. I do have a bunch more. These are all just like recent games that I would love to share with you. They've been tons of fun. And yeah, hope you guys are enjoying an arena. And I've seen a fair amount of you online. You guys always say hi. So yeah, hi if you're watching this. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. I'm really digging this. So yeah, see you in the next one. Peace out.